All right. So I want to tell everyone how important this fucking conversation is. Okay. Any better? A little better. I'm going to tell everybody how important this conversation is. Was it last week? Last week, 2 weeks ago? We tried to get this, 2 weeks ago. We tried to do this on my podcast, the Sacred Ridge podcast. Kept going out. We thought it was Sarah's internet. She got her internet fixed 2 weeks later. Today, same thing. I've recorded 3 other episodes before her, and it's been just fine. Literally, everybody else's has been fine. No problems. Nobody's dropped off. None of the fucking things. Okay, so this is a big fucking deal. So I really want to just stress that. Now we just tried to go on Facebook, and the way the camera looks on my face was like distorted. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna play hardball. We're just gonna go ahead and record it by Zoom, and then I'm gonna hopefully upload it to the podcast. So once again, hi Sarah for the fourth time today. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna make you start all over again. So we are talking about the nice girl syndrome today. And so yeah, please feel free to just go forth with your lovely story.
All right. Yeah, so I found this book that I have not read yet, but it's just here in my house, called The Nice Girl Syndrome. And my mom had a copy of it, and I found it in her stuff. And she passed away a few years ago. That's a whole nother thing. And I'm wondering why she had this book in the first place. I think I do know why. And I can go into that, but it had me thinking a lot about myself growing up and how I was more or less a good girl. I never got into trouble. This is when I was like young, you know. I started to rebel in college, probably. But before that, I was really good in school. I took all the advanced classes. I was in choir. I was a Girl Scout, all the things. And I think I just I had no idea who I was. I was just I was wearing this mask of what I thought I should be. And I had a lot of stuff just buried underneath all of that, all of the layers that I was putting on top of myself to try to be the person that society thought I should be. And I still wasn't getting it right. Because, I definitely didn't have the perfect body growing up. And not my mom, but my grandmother reminded me of that all the time. Not all the time, but quite a lot of the time. But I think that being the nice girl and not causing trouble and not doing things that, ruffled any feathers, I thought at the time kept me safe. I thought it kept me safe because no one can hurt me if I am not, being loud, if I'm not if I just stay in my little corner of the world.
You stay perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, perfect in in whatever way I thought that.
That's what I mean though. Your perception of if I'm a perfect person, if I'm a perfect little girl, I'm a nice girl. Again, everybody will think I'm nice and treat me nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Exactly. I remember back in high school, I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a few friends, but I was kind of awkward. I was very awkward. I wore a lot of black, which there's nothing wrong with wearing a lot of black if that's your vibe. And I think I wore all black yesterday for the first time in a long time. But I was wearing black to cover myself, to be in the shadows, to not be seen, and I wasn't really wearing black to be necessarily cool or to stand out. I was wearing black to like basically hide myself so that I wasn't seen, you know? Um, and, but I always felt, especially like in choir, because now I sing, I'm a vocalist. I'm proud of like, you know, helping women with their own vocal embodiment and expression. But I remember when I was in high school, I was in choir, and I knew I was like good at singing, but I never felt like I could be the center of attention, like that other people had more, you know, that they could offer, you know. Um, but I also knew that there was something within me that needed to be unleashed, but I was just afraid of what that would mean, or afraid to like fully um be in my fullest expression, which I didn't even realize was a thing at the time, you know. Um and and already like my red hair um made me stand out.
Big time.
And at the time, like when I was younger, like I didn't really embody my like Celtic goddessness like I do now. I was just like, how can I like just get by? How can I get through, you know? Um and so fast forward a little bit to college. um you know, that was a harder time for me, and I, you know, I suffered from depression. I gained more weight starting off in college. Like I you know, you know, the freshman 15 when I was already like overweight. And so but not to say this is about weight, but it was a way of like coping with all of the changes. um and then like putting myself in a box of like, I'm going to be a great student. I can tutor other students. And I actually thought I was going to like continue on this track and become like a professor or something. That was like maybe all that I thought that I could do, because I was like, I'm a good student. I can teach one day, you know. And then I went off to England for a year. I went to study abroad, and it was like something that I didn't really plan. But when I got this opportunity, I was like, you know what, I need to shake things up a little bit in my life, because what I'm doing right now is not working. um and when I got back from living there for a year, one of my professors, I just started looking at her differently. I started like, she was like unmarried, you know, not, I mean, I had my own ideas about her, which maybe aren't really true about her, but I was just like, I don't want to end up like that. I do not want to end up like that. I need to like live life. I need to figure out who I am. And if that means messing up and making mistakes, I'm going to do that. Um, so, so then I started on a different journey that's brought me here eventually. However many 20 years later. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah. Um, and yeah, I just I feel like being nice, um what happens, and I know this because I've done this work to like take off those layers and those masks of myself. I feel like what it does is it keeps things buried, and and you it keeps your body like stuck, and it creates physical symptoms,
Yep.
you know. It creates illness in your body
Yep.
because things aren't flowing freely in you.
It keeps you stuck in the past.
Yes.
Keeps you stuck in the past. It keeps you stuck repeating patterns. And then, yes, if you don't do something about it and you doesn't get expressed, then it gets, oh, that's a new word. It gets inspressed. It's gonna be like, it's gonna like go inside, and it's gonna try to find find a way out. And usually the only way to find its way out at that point is to go into your organs and become illness that becomes this thing that is now part of you that is expressing as illness. So as dis-ease, right? So yes, ma'am. Yeah. Keep going. It's good.
Yeah. There was something that I was kind of, so back to like, I sang in high school, but not in college actually, because I just couldn't, like I had an amazing high school choir, and we toured all over. We went and sang in Carnegie Hall and all the things. And then my college choir was not so great. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't sing for years. And I'm realizing now that like I've been singing for the past few years. I've been writing songs, all of these things. It's like I didn't really know like I wasn't in touch with my authentic voice when I was younger. I was learning how to sing the way that I was taught how to sing. And I feel like the only way that you can really be in touch with your authentic voice, whether that's through speaking, through singing, through whatever, using your voice, is you have to get the rage out first.
You have to get the inauthentic voice out, which is the surface, to get beneath it. Yes, yes, fucking yes. I love that statement so much. Yes.
Yeah. You have to actually let out all that isn't you from you. And then the real you can be expressed. And then it's like, you can tell. I just wrote a post about this yesterday. Like, you can tell when people are singing from like a real authentic place, or if they've like done the deeper work of healing, or if they're just like in a performative place where they're trying to copy someone else's voice or copy what someone else is doing, in all the ways, like not just with singing, but with like whatever they're saying. You can tell if it's authentic or not. And I was just thinking about like, they have these like apps now where you can like, it can help you sing. And it's like, I think one of them is called Shmuel or something. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yes,
but
I think it's Smule is what it is. Yeah.
But it's people, and if people use these, that's fine. Whatever. If you do you. But like, it really like rubs me the wrong way, because it's like it's people that are just trying to sound like the person, the song exactly, and like it's helping them like just basically be a robot and like repeat the same everything. There's
no real creativity.
Yeah, there's no real creativity. And I feel like if you're learning a craft, like right now I'm learning how to play guitar, and I have an amazing teacher right now that's teaching me how to learn guitar, not by learning other songs, but by learning the basics and then like creating your own stuff from it.
Beautiful. Like,
I'm not using like songbooks where you're like learning how to play like Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever, I'm not doing that. I'm like, and I actually wrote a song the other day on my guitar.
That's amazing.
Like very, very simple, like very, very simple. But
but huge, something you created something that wasn't there before without even really being taught really how to do it in some aspects. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have done that when I was younger, because, if your mind is filled with how to be a certain way, you're not going to be a way that's authentic. You'll just be the way that you think you're supposed to be, and think like, well, I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. This is the whole thing. Like, oh, I'm not like this, creative, talented person like that. That's what, I have to like regurgitate other things, that other people have done or created or whatever.
It makes you feel safer. It's like if I'm doing what somebody else has done, I feel safer in their shadow than I do to come out on my own. And sacred rage, anger in general, is all about burning things down to fucking create. And it is this like a lot of people's source of creativity. Think about artists and how they've literally been like, I don't even want to get happy because I'm afraid my talent's gonna fucking go away, because it comes from my sadness and my anger. And so I'm not surprised ever. I hear it all the time actually with my clients, but that they're all of a sudden that they're like, I wasn't able to do this thing or even know my life purpose or connect to this or get the ideas until I could get all this unbalanced, repressed shit that was keeping my creativity down. When anger is not in balance, it's keeping your creativity blocked. It's keeping it stuck down with all the other emotions. So there's a statement that I love that I'm sure everybody knows at this point, but you basically can't experience life to the depths of joy until you go to the depths of your shadow first. Like that's it. It's wherever you've gone in the shadow, that's the depths of where you're going to be able to go in the joy and the creativity and the authenticity and the freedom of expression, the freedom of yourself. So yeah, that's huge. I'm not surprised at all that that you're saying that. Yeah.
Yes. Totally agree. Like shadow work is so important. And man, like getting it out, like actually making friends with, facing all of that, all those aspects of yourself, and allowing yourself to get angry and grieve everything that you've up until this point, all the decisions that, all the things that I've done in my life. I'm grateful because it's led me here, but at the same time, like I'm angry that it took me so fucking long, like I might not look it, but I'm 41 years old. And people tell me all the time, but I'm actually reverse aging because of the work that I've done in the last few years. Like I'm reverse aging. Like I looked older 10 years ago than I do right now.
Guaranteed. Yep. That's not.
I look older.
Yep.
And so what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So at my age, I'm now like starting to let myself shine. That's okay. But I still have anger that I didn't do it 20 years ago.
You have to also, this is, and I see a lot of clients that come to this is probably, I would say 99% of every single one in the past 2.5 years has this thing they say. I'm mad that I couldn't figure it out for myself sooner. I'm mad that I could help everybody else, but I couldn't fucking help myself. I'm mad that I knew what I was supposed to do and I couldn't fucking do it. What I want people to understand that this is one of the keys to moving you forward in every avenue of your life. If you can start to show yourself compassion around this, this is a trauma response. That was a trauma response. You didn't have the tools. You didn't have the ability to know it and do something about it. There were other things that had to happen, other modalities you had to do, other levels of healing, other layers that had to be removed, other experiences, interactions with people that leveled you up little by little until you could get to a space where you could act on it as well as knowing. And so it's really important to realize that it's kind of like saying to someone, when you're in a full-blown panic attack and telling them to come out of it because they could just think their way out of it. It's not possible. Okay. I dealt with agoraphobia for 15 years, horrific panic attacks. Once that hits and you're in that, there is no coming out of that. You just have to fucking hold on tight and ride that motherfucker out. It's not going anywhere. And so I really want everybody that's listening also to just please know that to have some compassion for yourself in that aspect, because I mean, I'm 47 and there's all kinds of things I could say. I should be here. I should have my own home. I should have more money at this point. I should have all these things that I feel like I should have at 47. Right. And I know it's not just status. It's also, I would be happier. I would have been happier sooner. I would have been able to feel more free. What other kind of creative things could have had more time with if I'd done this 10 years ago. Right. So I get that it's not just status. It's also time wise, but you can't rush a trauma response. You can't do that. That's why a lot of people that come into my work some of them aren't ready to do the fucking work, because it takes the trauma response and fucking destroys it. It's not there anymore. It removes trauma layers. It doesn't remove your trauma, but it removes trauma layers. And the way you deal with your trauma response is not the same anymore. So now you have the ability to do that, but that's also scary. Because that means you're going to stand up to asshole fucking partner It means you're probably might fucking tell your parents you don't want to fucking talk to them anymore. It means you might quit your fucking job and like, because your body literally can't be at that job anymore. It means literally like friends possibly dying off, leaving your you can't, your nervous system is literally, your sacred rage rises up and says, like for instance, I have a thing right now where it's like my living situations are like, it would have to be divine intervention for me to live with another person, or I'd have to be fucking them. It's one of the two. And I've like, it doesn't matter. I have 8 days to find a new place to live currently and have no idea where the fuck I'm going to be living. No idea. I don't fucking care because I'm not living with another person unless it's divine intervention. So because my nervous system is like, that's my sacred rage, right? That's what she's doing. That part of me now is like, we're not putting ourselves in situations where we know it's not going to help us grow and create and be free. We're not doing that anymore. So yeah, it's a really big deal to try to look back on those things and say, did I really have the tools to do it? Was I really at a place where I could actually fucking, and I was just like, nah, I'm just lazy. You're just full on lazy. And even laziness, I would say, is part of a fucking trauma response if it's chronic laziness, right? So these are things that we have to start having compassion for ourselves about, or else we don't heal, because the main thing that's attached to is shame. I'm shameful that I can't do this thing. And shame, I'm having a whole other perspective on my whole business lately, in the last like week of the work that I'm doing, because shame there's so much shame in regards to your anger. Because the anger, if I show my anger, like you're saying, if I show my anger, I'm going to get rejected and abandoned. Somebody's going to reject me. They're going to abandon me. They're going to, which would be make fun of, and judge is another, it's a form of being rejected, right? Judgment is a form of being rejected instantly. And so there's this thing that's happening that you really have to rein in and start really just paying attention to. So this is such an important conversation. So big.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shame around the anger.
Yeah, because it's huge. It's really tied, and I'm noticing that the work I'm doing is clearing out the shame, because shame is literally like, I don't believe in, I know there's darkness in the world. I know there's dark entities in the fucking world. I am not stupid. I'm not like spiritual bypassing this, but I don't believe there's like a Satan or a devil. Like, I don't fucking believe that, right? So when I think about shame, though, if you wanted to attach it to a physical being, it would be that. Shame it literally is the only thing we feel that has no fucking point on this fucking planet. None. Guilt has a fucking upside to it. Sadness has an upside to it. Shame does not. It is straight up fucking lies. It is straight up shit that destroys everything. And so when you're able to fucking be in this space where you're like, no, like, fuck that. Like, you're stepping into that anger, when it's allowed to express, now not only destroys that shame, because it basically is like, it's like blowing fire. They're giving this visual of like blowing fire into the shame and destroying the fucking shame, because you're finally, the shame is what keeps you silent. And when you scream and you get cathartic and you're like, fuck you, and you get to say all the things, especially being witnessed, when you're allowed to be witnessed in that anger and rage, that shame instantly fucking disappears. And then on top of that, every time the shame starts to come up again, it literally can't exist anymore. I see it over and over and over again. The sacred rage comes up and goes, stupid, fuck you. No, I don't believe that anymore. That's not a me problem. And on and on and on. But it's really that witnessing.
So you're basically here to end generational shame through sacred rage.
I just I just fucking felt that through my whole body when you said that, Sarah. My heart center especially. I was like,
so I mentioned before that I found this book in my mom's car. Actually, yes. I found it in her car after she died. And I don't even know if she read it, because it doesn't look like it's been read, but she bought it. But I've come to realize that, and I even thought about it when she was in the hospital. Like I think that my mom died from shame. Like she, all the choices in her life that led to her being in the place that she was in, and like we talked about before, creating physical symptoms, physical illness in the body. That's what happened. And so many people, you know, you say like, oh, this person died of cancer, of heart attack, of, you know, whatever. It's like, where did that come from? You know, why did that manifest?
Yeah.
You know?
And
And
it comes
so
from that shame. Yeah.
I knew that, you know, just looking at my mom and the way that she lived her life, and she did the best that she could, you know, with the tools she was given, but she wanted more and she wanted to change. But she also the shame that she carried meant that she was afraid to actually talk about her life and her life experience.
Yeah.
Because of the guilt attached to that shame that she carried. And I know because I'm her daughter and I've lived with her and saw the choices that she made and everything. So I knew that like my mission was going to be to make sure that that doesn't happen, that women don't end up, you know, later in life with tons of regret, with, you know, being in relationship after relationship that is like draining of themselves and their life force, you know?
Yeah, that literally, again, keeps them stuck in those patterns, right? But then makes them ill on top of it. Like, yeah, like I have such a, I'm going to find a way to do it too, but I have such a desire to like get a hold of women that are like 65 and older. And like, because I had somebody in my free Scream event. I do free Scream events every month online in my Facebook group. And I had a woman who was like 75 that came into my free Sacred Rage Scream event. And I was so fucking excited about that because all I could think about was like, this woman, even if it's only for these 10 minutes, this woman is not going to go to her, she's not going to start her next life, go into the afterlife, you know, not having to carry, because we don't carry shit into the afterlife, but like being able to release this because it does have an effect generationally. It fucking does. It most definitely fucking does. We live on in ourselves through everybody else. Yes. And so I do have quite the desire to get a hold of women that are just so I can just be like,
yes,
I want you to release this before you get on your deathbed. I want this to be gone from you. And you know, I just realized just a couple days ago I had a one-on-one session with this, I can say his name because I know he doesn't care, but Aaron and I did a one-on-one session and he yeah, I realized through watching him cry that I had these flashbacks of my dad. And I was like, why do I keep seeing my dad? He was like right in the camera. He was bawling, his hands over his face. Aaron did. And he was just really just vulnerably just fucking releasing. And when I see a man cry, it's like so hard for me because we got conditioned as well about how men aren't supposed to show sadness, right? So when they do, it's this really like, oh my gosh, it's really like, it's a beautiful thing to witness, but it's really intense for a lot of women. I'm one of them. Cat's going in and out of the fucking back door. Hold on a second. So anyways, I realized in this moment that I'm flashing back because my father hasn't talked, we haven't talked in 17 years. And he even had an opportunity to talk to me about 9 years ago and he refused and didn't want to do it. And so I've always had this feeling of like, I know it's like his guilt around how he hasn't been able to like be a father for me, right? And I've kind of known this because there's been 3 separate occasions where he's got a couple drinks in him and he has said to me on my 21st birthday, for instance, he said, I raised you all wrong. I did it all wrong with you. And this is like, these were 3 separate moments where I got to see and feel like an actual conversation with him, like a real like connection to him. It was like, whoa, I'm getting to see his vulnerability at this point, right? My whole point to this is I realized in that moment that it wasn't guilt that has kept us for 17 years not talking. It's his fucking shame. It's his shame around the fact that he hasn't been able to be there for his daughter. It's his shame that he hasn't been able to know how to fucking reach me. It's his shame on the fact that I was born on the day that my uncle died. Years, my uncle and my dad were young. My uncle died on my birth date. And when I was born, I was told by my aunt that my father literally, instead of seeing me as a gift, he saw me as a reminder of the fact that he basically killed his brother, he feels like, because he ran into a tree, got drunk, and my dad knew it and didn't take his keys, and he blamed himself. So instead, so there's this shame, this deep shame. He cheated on my mom with the neighbor lady. They're still together, by the way. Shame, all this shame attached. And I was distraught for like an hour crying about this because I don't want anyone's shame to ever be in them because of me on any level. I want him to be free of that. And it made me so sad because there aren't more fucking spaces for people to get fucking pissed and get rid of their shit and talk about their shit. There isn't more of that. What kind of relationship could my father and I have had if this was a container that he had? Sacred Sons is a beautiful men's container. Please check them out on Instagram. I'm always talking about them. Sacred Sons, SACRESONS. They are amazing. Nicholas Kiddis, who I just had a fucking podcast episode with, he also helps men. If you're a man listening to this, go check them out, right? So, sorry, the beeping in the back noise is awesome. But anyways, it just was this shame thing is huge. And its anger is very much destroys that fucking shame. And it's another reason I'm getting this message right now. It's another reason why it's so hard for people to actually say yes to doing this fucking work. Because that shame is so fucking strong in so many people. And they've been taught that if they step into that it's going to create more fucking shame. The bravery it takes for people to do anger work. I just bow down every time I fucking have some in my program. I'm just like, oh my God, having the conversation, listening to the conversation. Because I'm telling you, when you even listen and have these conversations, a seed is fucking planted that starts to destroy the fucking shame. That beeping, I'm telling you right now, is part of this whole conversation. Can you hear it?
I can't. No.
Oh, you can't hear it. Okay, well, good. There's a truck trying to block my ass, basically, and it's all beep beep beep. It's like a fucking delivery truck. So, anyways, this is a big conversation. Why do you think now, Sarah? Why do you think, Sarah, this conversation wasn't supposed to happen? Because it's all about fucking the devil, okay? The darkness of the world. Why do you think people kill people? Why do you think people fucking hoard their money? Why do you think people fucking cheat on each other and never tell anybody? Why do you think they fucking molest people and continue to do it? Shame. Shame. This fucking conversation is fucking huge.
Wow.
We're both silent because we're both feeling the bigness of this fucking topic. It's huge.
My sister and I are very different people, but we're similar in some ways. I told her about you and your work. I'm going to remind her of the free event.
Yeah, please do.
I don't know if I can make it because I work on Thursdays, but like, yeah, she wanted this book. She wanted me to send her this book, which is interesting because I always perceived my sister. And if you're listening, Laura, just know that I love you. I always perceived you as not a nice girl, as a rebel, as like, just, yeah, I always saw her that way, but she might've seen herself in a different way, of course. Because I was the good student and all the things. And then she was like the younger, like, pushing boundaries, all the things,
Interesting how, Do you think she wants that book for a different reason other than herself, or did she say she wants it for herself personally?
So she wants it for herself. I know this
Okay.
because she just got out of a like earlier this year she just got out of like a really toxic 10-year relationship with um
A
with
partner.
this a partner that
Uh-huh.
was not um
Not nice.
he was not nice. It
Not
was not
nice.
nice.
That's the nicest way we could say it. That was not a nice
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Was a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing too, I guess, because I'm trying to figure out like why somebody would, if they're, but the thing is like, before I had my own sacred rage moment in my kitchen in November 2020 that made this whole program, this whole work. I too was somebody who was this same fucking attitude. Like I have a problem speaking up, and I have a problem with confrontation. I was actually maybe a little bit overly, to be honest, because I was just like, it was again working upside down in me, right? It was working against me, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also
Mm-hmm.
a people pleaser because I didn't want people to see that in me. So I tried. So if I would meet you for the first time, and now I do it genuinely, like I make sure that I do it and I'm not people pleasing. I do it genuinely, but I would meet you and be like trying to compliment you and smiling really big and just being the kindest, nicest, really genuinely listening, like trying to just really help you to feel comfortable, because I just knew, it makes me kind of sad actually. I just knew that if you saw my anger and you saw this intense personality, you would leave me like my family had. You would reject me, you would abandon me. So, and what was really interesting is even when I was trying to be the nicest, people would say to me, "Why are you so angry all the time? Motherfuckers." And that would piss me off because I was trying so hard to be like, "No, don't see that. Please don't see that. You're gonna leave me," right? That's what was happening. He's like, "No, see my smile, see my niceness." So how can
Yeah.
I make you comfortable? How can I make you? Because when I do explode, I've been super nice to you. So since I've been nice, maybe you remember the nicest. It literally makes me emotional because I realized just how much I just really, and it's also just beautiful to me that the things I was rejected and abandoned for are now fucking healing other people, and I get to like fully be in my power. But let me fucking just tell you, on day one of doing this program, the very first day I ever did it, I had a business partner. Her name's Jacqueline Faith. She's a big part of the program, even though she's not in it anymore. Day one, the day we do the screaming portion, my portion, I said, I don't know if I could do this. I don't think I can do it. I too was just, and I was terrified because I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna teach these people to scream and they're gonna scream. And what if they don't like it? What if they can't do it and they don't like me? And I just went through all of the things. And Jacqueline did the most beautiful witnessing that became part of our program, which was to say, okay. She's like, you don't have to if you don't want to. So just know that even me as the expert in this still had doubts about things and still went to stop myself and still had nice girl syndrome while I was fucking super in my power. So I'm assuming, do you, when you look back at your sister, do you see people pleasing with her? Or like those types of things? Yeah, where she tried to compensate and overcompensate for it.
Yeah, I think that like since our mother died, I've gotten closer to her than I was before.
Yeah.
And so I like at the same time putting myself in a box when I was younger, I put her in a box. And so I just made her into this idea of what I thought she was. But now that we're actually having conversations, we're actually getting to know each other. We're talking about our mom. We're talking about her choices that she made that affected us directly.
Yeah.
Like letting random guys live with her, us when we were teenagers, younger, like stuff like that.
Super inappropriate.
Yeah. Yes, super inappropriate. Okay. Yeah. And I'm like, she's like actually realizing, oh, that was really inappropriate. And so we're having these like deeper conversations about our mom and our dad, like very similar with you, like lack of any sort of relationship emotionally and otherwise. And so I'm starting to see how, she's with her friends, with her partner that she had for 10 years, trying to walk on eggshells, always trying to do the right thing.
There you go.
And then it not working.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No. And with those of us that are able to set boundaries and speak out, then it becomes fucking rage, and we can't fucking like contain it. Then we become super fucking mad. So I can see why she wants the book now. Now you can see why she wants the book. It's like such a like, and you know what's, I want to also, it's 11:11 as I'm saying this here, of course. What I want to say also about what I noticed about my dad, which I think will help a lot of people, is that, you know, I have this feeling for the longest time, like, what's wrong with me? Like it's leaked into my money. It's leaked into the subconscious. I don't believe it consciously, but subconsciously there's this belief that there's something wrong with me. And if something wrong with me, it means that everybody else that has the life and the money and the career and the love and all the things, it means because there's something wrong with me, I don't get to have those things. And so I keep manifesting subconsciously, I keep manifesting things to not work out, for me not to have the things, because I have this underlying belief there's something wrong with me. And these fucking cats, I'm going to kill them. I love them to death, but this door is my fucking is my hell, I swear. Anyway, so what I realized in that moment of why my father hadn't talked to me because of shame. Let's see if I can say it without crying. I don't know if I can do it because it's still kind of new. Was that my father wasn't not talking to me because he didn't love me. My father was not talking to me because he loved me too much. He loved me so much that he had this deep shame around it, because he wanted to reach his daughter and he wanted to have a relationship with her and he wanted to be there with her, but he didn't fucking know how. And it wasn't even possibly, maybe even not even in him to do it because of his own shit. And because he loved me so much, he wasn't able to actually, the emotions were too much when he would think about me. So much so that he could say one sentence and start crying because he felt so much around me. So the reason I think that might be helpful to other people is I want you to remember that if somebody has that deep shame, it's because you're fucking actually you're too loved. They're feeling so much emotion for you, around what it would take to have a conversation and to face their own shit around what they feel for you and how they haven't been able to do the things or how they have hurt you, that they literally just not at all.
Now you're making me cry. You're making me cry.
Yeah,
you're making me cry.
It's huge.
Oh my gosh,
that's a big deal, right? Like it's that it really does make you go. Like I can take a breath, or like just took an involuntary breath, like and then all of a sudden I was just like, I thought my dad had died. This is why this conversation is big. I noticed I'm saying all this shit. I thought that I wouldn't get to have this connection because I'm a psychic, right? I didn't think I'd get to have this connection until he was dead and passed over. And I would find another psychic and we'd have this conversation and he would tell me these things and I would get this feeling of like connection to him, find this flow of connection between us of like, oh, we have this special thing because you love me. You didn't not love me. And so I thought he died. I was like, did he just die? Like, how am I getting this connection right now? How am I finally able to fucking feel this? Because I kept walking around the house going, I'm loved. Holy shit, I feel loved by my father. Like, I feel fucking loved for the first time by him. I felt like we had this special thing all of a sudden. Like there was never me. There was never anything wrong with me. Ever. It was all his own shit. Which again made me sad because all the time's passed. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, what is this going to open up for me in my whole life? Because I literally, when I think about what other people have now, I had this like feeling of just kind of hesitation, like, oh, like they're way far away. Oh, you have the house and the car, all the things, right? You're successful. You have all the things. And I just felt kind of removed. I don't feel like that anymore. It's gone since getting that connected. I'm like, I don't even care what the fuck happens to me. If I can find a place to live, I don't give a fuck. I'm loved. I was loved. I was fucking loved. Like, it was such a huge fucking thing. So I hope people can hear that. The listeners can hear that and connect that and understand that it's again, shame that destroys everything and is what the shame of feeling too much, especially when it comes to fathers or people that are, you know, so toxically fucking traumatized in their own shit. And that is not a reason, by the way, to fucking forgive somebody. I want to make sure I say that. It might be something that enables you to forgive them, but you also still have a right to be angry and still feel those things. But like, it's weird too, because I would like picture myself in front of my dad, and I would still feel like, oh, even after all the work I'd done, I still feel like I would maybe like get small, like you do in front of a parent that like abused you mentally, emotionally. And now when I think about being in front of him, there's none of that. I don't feel any of that. I feel like it would be another human to another human, and there would be this understanding on my end anyways. So shame's a fucking little bitch, okay? Shame is huge.
Yeah.
What's coming up for you? You said you got emotional. What was coming up for you?
No, just my own dad, like, and our lack of relationship. He sent me money through Venmo on my birthday. That was my birthday gift. and
no other connection. Like, just here you go. Like you were a bill. He was like you were a bill he was paying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, okay, great. Then he tried to call, and I I couldn't answer, and then he left a message, and then he didn't call back. That's okay. It is what it is.
So how come you didn't call him back since he called you and left a message?
I did.
Oh, you did,
but we didn't like continue the
back
back and forth.
You guys just couldn't match up. Yeah.
Yeah. And with my sister, like, I think it's been the same with her. There's been a lot more like emotion around it.
Yep.
With it's just been a lot more emotion. I've somehow been able to, or maybe it's just my way of coping, of just like removing myself from like having frustration around it. Mm-hmm. Like maybe there's something there that I still need to work through around it.
Yeah.
Because I think like up until this point, I'm trying to change this way of thinking. It's just like, oh well, I'm not going to rely on that. Like, I'm just not going to rely on that as a relationship in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm just not even going to like
go there,
put any emotional energy into it
at all. You're just going to block yourself from it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Protect yourself from it.
Yeah.
Woo! This was a big conversation. This was pretty massive. Is there anything else that you want to say? We've been talking for almost an hour.
Oh my goodness.
I think it has been. I think it's been almost an hour.
Yeah. I don't know, not really. I just to say that like I am super grateful to know that it's really important to express oneself, and I'm glad that you're doing it and that is your focus. I definitely have in the work that I do, like having women come to me to like process trauma, and then like I say, like, you can express yourself, like feel free to vocally express, and then like it's just they don't, and it like makes me upset, because I'm like, do they just have nothing to express, or are they just not there yet where they can't even do it?
So I've had other clients come to me for this, by the way, who have said, I've been working with somebody for 2 years, and then I haven't been, and they're giving me space to be angry. Like today we're going to do anger day, and I can't do it. And they're like, but I get into your stuff and I can. And I'm like, that's because this is specifically for that. So your body feels safe knowing that you are expected, that I, as a facilitator, am expecting you, right? But holding space for you to let go. And you get encouraged to do that, and over and over in a specific way that makes your body, your nervous system really feel like it's safe to do that. So yeah, if there's any other practitioners out there who are feeling like you are, please know it's not you. It's that they're so repressed that really the only way they're possibly going to let it out is if they're in a container that is specifically meant and somebody who is specifically trained to hold space that way, you know?
Yeah.
So this is why, again, if somebody's out there that wants to hire me for their retreat or for, you know, their programs or have me come guest speak or any of those things, please let me know. And I'll do that. But yeah, that's usually the reason why. And I do have people that do refer me their clients because they're like, I just can't get her. I can't get her there or get him there. So don't feel like it's you. It's that they need that witnessing specifically for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you are in some ways represent, you're an authority figure, right? But you represent because of the relationship that you have or the other things you teach that aren't specific to that. It's still in their trauma body and their trauma brain feels like a parent. It feels like, well, you could get mad at me. Well, you haven't been concentrating on just this. So what if you get mad at me? You don't like me, you reject me, you abandon me, you judge me. They still feel like that because you've been doing other things with this. Yeah. You know? So it's like, I've been vulnerable with you on all the other things. And now I feel extra. It's almost like in some ways, it should be a little bit flattering because it feels like they trust you so much that they don't want to do anything to lose you. Yeah. So again, that shame kind of, right? The shame coming up again. That's like, God, it's such a big fucking deal that like shame is not like, it's an indicator that you're being loved too much. It's just funny to me. Because it's just like such the opposite. So maybe shame does have a purpose. Now that I see it, it's an indication of feeling too much for someone. Like if they were to think about you, those emotions that come up they're too overwhelming. There's too much to think about you. I'm not good enough for that person to be in their life. Exactly what it is, Sarah. I couldn't do it. What if I start talking about these things? I can't feel my emotions. And then I show up and I can't show up again. And I do it to them again. And I let them down again. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I see that as a too much problem on our end, but not in a bad way. It's like, I'm so fucking great and amazing. I don't give a fuck who hears this. I hope my parents, they will never hear it, but I hope they fucking hear it. Because that is me being too much for you. And that is not a me problem. If anything, I'm like, damn straight. My wings feel huge right now. My energetic wings are like, wham. They're like, that feels so good for me to step into that and be like, I don't give a fuck. Care that you are overwhelmed by me. That's not my problem. You're missing out. Everybody that has letting shame make decisions in regards to not having relationships with their children, especially, you're missing out because the fact that you feel that much emotion around one person means they also have the depth. There's that thing again, right? You can only enjoy the depth of the joy and the love and the connection. You're missing out on that because you won't go to the depth of this first. So if you're ignoring me, keeping me out of your life, not talking, talking to us, you're also missing out on this huge amount of things that could be happening. And it could be just nothing too. And because we talk about this, like we are all about bringing things to the surface. Yes. Like, and they don't want to do that for whatever reason. It's like, well, if I get close to my daughter, I'm going to have to face my shit. And I don't want to face my shit because that's what I mean. It's too intense. Yeah. Those emotions of like, I'm going to have to really like hold myself accountable. I'm going to have to sit through those deep emotions of shame and also learn how to love myself and forgive myself all at the same time. And it's like, excuse me, my dad's in his 70s. He's like 72 this year, I think is what he turned. 71, 72. Yeah. So same age as my dad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're I'm gonna say we're super close age, but we're around the same age group. So yeah, that's that's fucking wild. Not surprised. Yeah. Hey, could you maybe not? Cat's over there just like freaking out. Bubba, I think he found a treat. It's under something. Anyways. So yeah, we could probably go ahead and end this here.
Okay.
But this is really an important concept. I can see why we were being blocked. I very clearly can see why we were being blocked. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the listeners. If you would like to get in touch with me to figure out my work, my free events, my one-on-one, my group programs, it's sisterhoodofsacredfire.com. You can also find this podcast on the Sacred Rage podcast on Instagram. Also, email is the same at Gmail. If you'd like to be on the podcast, please come and find me. I'd love to hear your anger story and have these important fucking conversations. Please share. Not a lot of people are knowing that their conversations are even happening in this direction. So please share us. And Sara, I just, again, so fucking appreciate you and love you so much. And I look forward to more conversations with you. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, I think that's it. I mean, if you want to see what I do in my work, I'm kind of shifting my focus, and I'm focusing on authentic vocal expression.
Awesome.
And it feels edgy, but this is the direction I'm going into right now.
Do you mean with singing?
Singing. Yeah, but it's also for other things too, but it's mostly for singing. And I'm also doing offering vocal healing sessions for people where I just intuitively channel through my voice, and I've had some amazing, I've been doing some free ones this past month, but I don't have any free spots available anymore. Just to get to get some amazing testimonials and get used to doing the sessions. Sure. Yeah. Get some practice in. So that sounds fucking epic. How do people get a hold of you? I'm on Instagram under Spiral to Wholeness. That's my current business name.
Did you say Spiral to Wholeness?
Yes.
Okay.
On Instagram, and you can follow me on Facebook, Sara Caroline Oakley, and also my business page is Spiral to Wholeness on that. And that's also my website, spiraltowholeness.com.
Fantastic.
It has all my new stuff on it, and ways to get in touch with me for upcoming programs, and also one-on-one sessions with me as well. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you having you on. Like I said, it's just such an important conversation, and new episodes drop every Monday, you guys. So thank you for listening. It means a lot. It creates a ripple effect when we do. So we'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one, everyone.